Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another episode of ReaperCast. Today I really wanted to talk about something coming out in the Grand Creators set. I believe it is going to be a new archetype. This is called the Exorsisters, which is essentially these so-called nuns that are also exorcists as well, which is definitely a very unique theme. It's something that will definitely attract a lot of people. Now, I have actually talked in the past about different new decks or new archetypes being introduced that fall under a certain category, and this particular deck here falls into the whole waifu category, I'm sure of. So with that being said, it's going to be exciting to see what all of these cards do. However, with that being said, I would like to remind you guys to drop a like, share and comment if you guys enjoyed this video, and please consider subscribing as well if you enjoyed this video, because it means that you'll be interested in further content that's actually being produced on this channel. Now without further ado, let's begin. The first card we have over here is called Exorsister Elise, a level 4 light spellcaster effect monster of 500 attack and 800 defense, and the first and second effects can only be used once per turn each. First effect, if you control an Exorsister monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, then if you do control Exorsister Stella, gain 800 life points. That's a very specific effect to gain that 800, but I do like the fact that it is an easy summon. Second effect, if a card leaves any graveyard by an opponent's card, you can special summon one Exorsister Xyz monster from your extra deck by using this card you control as material. This is treated as an Xyz summon, definitely very nice. I like that this could potentially be used during the opponent's turn as well, so you could definitely do something very fun here. It's like an urgent Xyz summon, which funnily enough we actually do have a trap card called Urgent Xyz. Or is it Wonder Xyz? I think it's called Wonder Xyz, but with that being said, it's a similar effect to that. I'm already really loving this because it's almost as if your opponent is the demon that the Exorcisters are actually trying to exorcise in this particular case, so I do like that theme going on there. However, the next card we have here is Exorsister Stella. Of course, that's expected, a level 4 light spellcaster effect monster, so it seems like the typing is consistent with an attack of 300 and 800 defense. So as we can see here, the stats are definitely not high, but I guess that's okay because in exchange we get good effects and we're probably going to be relying on the Xyz monsters, which is a bit of a fear because this deck could be vulnerable to something like a dimensional barrier. You can only use this card's first and second effects each once per turn. First effect, during your main phase, you could special summon one Exorsister monster from your hand, then if you control one Exorsister Elise, gain 800 life points. So again, this particular card here is an amazing effect, already special summoning out other monsters from your hand, and then additionally allowing you to also gain 800 life points once more. It's very interesting because now it makes me think, does the Xyz monsters actually cause you to lose life points? Maybe that's the case. Otherwise, you might be able to play the Solemn cards into this deck. Given that you're gaining life points, you may as well use it to pay to negate some stuff. Now as for the second effect, if a card leaves any graveyard by an opponent's cards, so similar to the previous one, you could special summon one Exorsister Xyz monster from your extra deck by using this card you control as material. This card is treated as an Xyz summon, so definitely fantastic there. Again, very similar effects, but there's really not much else to say but to move on to the next card. We have over here Exorsister Elise, a level 4 light spellcaster effect monster of 400 attack and 800 defense, and the first and second effects can only be used once per turn each. First effect, you could return one Exorsister card from your hand to the bottom of the deck, draw one card, then if you control Exorsister Sophia, gain 800 life points. So again, similar effects but doing different things. In this particular case, it allows you to switch cards from your deck. Second effect, similar effect here. If any card is pretty much sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you could special summon one Exorsister Xyz monster, again treating it as an Xyz summon. So similar case here, definitely very nice. And the fourth and final monster of the main deck would be the Exorsister Sophia, a level 4 light spellcaster effect monster, again with the low stats of 100 attack and 800 defense. And of course the first and second effects can only be used once per turn each. First effect, if you control another Exorsister monster, you can draw one card, then if you control one Exorsister Elise, gain 800 life points. As expected. Second effect, if a card leaves any graveyard by an opponent's card, you could special summon one Exorsister Xyz monster and treating it as an Xyz summon. So again, similar case here. These monsters are definitely fantastic. I mean, they're not really monsters, right? They're nuns. They're meant to be the ones exorcising the monsters. But with that being said, I do love their artwork. They definitely are very interesting. The outfits definitely represent the old and also a more modernized kind of look to it, so definitely very nice in terms of the outfits that each of these Exorcisters are actually wearing. However, with that being said, let's move on to the Xyz monsters. So we have here Exorsister Mikhailis or Mikhailis, a rank 4 light warrior Xyz effect monster, so there's a change in monster type there, definitely very interesting. 2500 attack and 1800 defense and requires 2 level 4 monsters. Good to see that it's generic. The first and third effects can only be used once per turn each. First effect, if this card was Xyz summoned previously this turn by using an Exorsister monster's material, as a quick effect you could target one card your opponent controls or in their graveyard, banish it. That's not too bad because there are a lot of cards that can activate in the graveyard, so having this effect is definitely quite nifty. Second effect, cannot be destroyed by battle with monsters that were special summoned from the graveyard. Interesting, it seems like it's immune to zombie type monsters, right? Cards that are revived from the graveyard, right? Very fitting to the theme. Third effect, you can detach one material from this card, add one Exorsister spell trap from your deck to your hand. Absolutely fantastic, a searcher. I like this so far, it's actually going in a really good direction. Now moving on, we have here Exorsister Caspitel, a rank 4 light warrior Xyz effect monster of 2300 attack and 800 defense and requires 2 level 4 monsters again as a generic card, so very nice there. The first and third effects can only be used once per turn each, which is similar to the previous Xyz monster. First effect, if this card is Xyz summoned by using an Exorsister monster's material, you could activate this effect. For the rest of this turn, neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard. And that's absolutely fantastic. You have so many cards that can return from the graveyard, or at least special summon back from the graveyard. Monster Reborn, World Legacy Succession, even World Legacy Guard Dragon are all cards that can revive cards again and reuse them. So to see that they're getting locked out with this particular effect is definitely fantastic. Second effect, cannot be destroyed by battle with monsters that were special summoned from the graveyard, so again, I like that the second effect is consistent. And as for the third effect, you can detach one material from this card, add one Exorsister monster from your deck to your hand, so again, bit of a variation but still similar and keeping to the theme of the actual deck itself. Moving on to the third card, we have Exorsister Gibraltar, a rank 4 light warrior Xyz effect monster, this time with 1400 attack and 2800 defense, so it's definitely going to be a bit different I assume, because it definitely will act more so as a defensive card, and it requires 2 level 4 monsters, so again still generic, with the first and third effects only being allowed to be activated once. So first effect, if this card is Xyz summoned previously this turn by using an Exorsister, as a quick effect you could target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects for the rest of this turn. That's great, that's actually a very defensive card indeed, definitely stopping your opponents from doing things, and I like that this card is already setting you up for first turn play. You just bring this out and you could already technically do some stuff there, so definitely fantastic. Second effect, well, it's pretty much the same thing as the previous one, so let's move on to the third effect. You could detach one material from this card for the rest of this turn, or Xyz monsters you control will gain 800 attack. Alright, so the third effect actually has some offensive capabilities, definitely very nice here. I like that there's a potential switch between the two, from the first being a more defensive kind of effect, whereas the third is a bit more of an offensive kind of effect, so very good cards right now. Finally, we have here Exorsister Usafiel, a rank 4 light warrior Xyz effect monster of 2100 attack and 1800 defense and requires 2 level 4 monsters. First and third effects can only be used once per turn each. First effect, if this card is Xyz summoned using an Exorsister monster as material, you can activate this effect. For the rest of the turn, neither player can activate any card effect in any graveyard. Now that's a very powerful effect because it's going to be quite effective against virtual worlds. but also plenty of other decks available out there. As for the second effect, it cannot be destroyed by activated monster effects from monsters that were special summoned from the graveyard, which is similar to the previous one. As for the third effect, you can detach one material from this card, then target one monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. That's not bad. I did wish it was a quick effect because it would be a great defensive card, but even so, I do like this effect for offensive purposes as well, allowing you to bounce back your opponent's cards to go for an attack and OTK. Now, the next card we have over here is Exorsister Sistaamento, a quick play spell card this time, so you can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. You can only activate this card during your opponent's turn unless your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the graveyard. So as we can see here, there's definitely some benefits, but there's also some downsides. However, with some downsides, you could definitely gain some benefits in exchange for a card like this. Pay 800 life points, then target one Exorsister monster you control, special summon from your extra deck one Exorsister Xyz monster with a different name from the monsters you control. By using that monster you control as material, this is treated as an Xyz summon and transfer all materials to the summon monster. I like that, giving you a bit of edge to defensive capabilities, given that this would be activated during your opponent's turn. However, even so, you could potentially activate this during your turn as well if you are able to meet the requirements. But as expected from the very beginning, this is the first card that actually requires us to pay 800 life points as a result. Now moving on, we have here Exorsister Carpetbell, a continuous spell card. The second and third effects can only be used once per turn each. First effect, Exorsister monsters you control cannot be targeted by monster effects from monsters that were special summoned from the graveyard. Fantastic protection there. Once you bring out the Xyz monsters as well, together combined with this continuous spell, you're creating such a great barrier, and I think that's also quite fantastic here, because just think of it like a bunch of nuns being protected in a cathedral or something like that, and in this particular case it follows up with that theme. So I do love the way that they actually designed all of these card effects. It intertwines really well together with the monsters, the Xyz monsters, and now the spells. As for the second effect, if you Xyz summon an Exorsister monster, you can declare one card name for the rest of the turn, negate the activated effects and the effects on the field of cards with the original name. Now that's going to be very specific, but I guess if you're doing this during your opponent's turn, you could act in a very defensive manner, which again, following in a theme, this deck has great defensive capabilities, which is quite common. I mean, if you have a bunch of nuns, they are going to be more pacifistic than actually offensive. So as a result, having a solid defense is definitely going to be a key theme within this particular archetype. Third effect, when an attack is declared involving your Exorsister monster, you can target one spell trap your opponent controls, destroy it. That's the first time I'm seeing an actual spell trap being affected in this particular case. Now moving on here, we have our normal trap card, the only one, Exorsister Vadis. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. Pay 800 life points. For the rest of this turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Exorsister monsters. Also, special summon 2 Exorsister monsters from your deck so that the first name is listed in the second's text, but shuffle them in the deck during the end phase. I love this card because it pairs up the 2 Exorcisters together when we actually talked about them at the beginning. So having a card like this, not bad at all. I'd see myself playing 2 copies of this in the deck. And finally, we are also getting here a reprint of Ties of the Brethren, making sense of course. This whole deck has level 4 light spellcaster effect monsters, which is going to be very easy to summon to pull off with Ties of the Brethren. Overall, this archetype is definitely something I'm looking forward to. I think I'm going to be building this deck. I'll try my best to try and obtain these cards, and as a result, regardless of how pricey it could get, I am very eager to actually build this particular deck here. I think this is a deck that really suits my tastes, it really suits my playstyle. I absolutely love it. and I'm already looking forward to any future support that comes out, because there might be new pairings between different Exorcisters out there. So yeah, this is definitely very fun, very interesting, very exciting, and this is going in a very good direction here. But definitely let me know what you guys actually think about this. Otherwise, this video has definitely gone on quite a long bit already, so I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you all next time.